for Sina and Sina, if I can borrow Sina and Sina. Apart from not adding pain to the horse, we wanted to be creating positive associations for the horse with the training. So what I talk about with the riders a lot is a CER, a conditioned emotional response to a cue or a situation. And Sina's horse had clearly an issue with the Liverpool. And if every time a horse is worked with the Liverpool and tried to learn how to jump it, every time the horse is subjected to pain, legs, spurs, ribs, lots of driving aids, then the horse is going to create a negative CER, like a negative association to the Liverpool. And that is going to stick with the horse forever. So a lot of show jumpers, they have horses that are scared of the water, and then they go to jump somewhere at a showground and the water's not in their class, so they can't make the horse jump any of the other jump because it gets so worried because it sees the water. So we're going to take Sina and Sina. I'm going to call for you again. We're going to get you over here, and what you can see that we've done is we've filled up the water with lots of fruits, carrots and apples and treats and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to try to see if we can just have Sina's horse come and have a little something to do with the Liverpool. And every time I do that, I'll talk about that. My colleagues from my time on the national teams, they always laugh at me. But this is a very easy way to help kids, grown-ups, adults, young horses create a positive CER with the Liverpool. And you can do the same thing with the big open water. You can have a bucket with food like on the side or right when you take off or even in the middle of it. So if you can say that you help the horse to make friends with whatever is scaring to it. That's not going to do it all on its own. But I'm sure usually with ponies, this works faster than with warm-blooded thoroughbreds, horses who maybe they're not too motivated for food. But then Sina doesn't have to do too much. She's just going to help the horse create a positive association, a positive CER to the Liverpool. I had one horse that was really scared of it, and we taught him to lift it for food reward. And every time he saw that back, he'd go and he would lift it and try to get the food reward. And then somebody said, well, is that not a problem? Then when you go to a show, the horse is going to want to go up to the Liverpool and lift it. Yes, but it's so much easier to work with ordinary trained, often conditioned behavior than it is to work with stress and fearfulness and flight response. So if you can get the stress lowered, if you can get the horse more comfortable, and you can get the horse confident in what you're trying to teach it, then when you come to the Liverpool and the horse says, oh, should I lift it? And you say, oh no, let's jump it this time. And you have a chance of doing that, which is much, much easier than working with frightened, worried horses. And what I see Stina is doing, and I'm going to get the other guys working in this because they seem to be getting lost in all the talking. But what Stina is doing is she's putting a lead rope on the horse. Stina is used to doing this work a lot. So because Stina is a young rider, she's maybe not used to pressure release and knowing what to do. And Stina's going to help the horse just come to the Liverpool and start eating. And I'm pretty convinced that once he starts eating and finds out that this is different than normal, he's going to work through this quickly. And normally I don't give any guarantees, but I'm hoping that we're going to end up seeing him crossing the Liverpool. And I think it's quite obvious. He's like this sweet little pony. He hasn't been too stressed being in here, but he's obviously really scared of the Liverpool. And probably that was created because somebody along the way created a negative CER. So he's associating the Liverpool with pain and discomfort. So you can have a look at that. Stina and Tina are going to work with that. And then I'm going to just check in and see what else is going on. I know that Lena and Jeanette, who are down here in the corner, they have, I don't know if they've started working at it yet, but I know Lena has decided that from watching Jeanette live, well, she's going to work on some more training technicalities with Jeanette. Jeanette is a very experienced rider, and what I saw Lena was doing before with her hands, she was moving her hands back and forth. Many of you have probably been told in your riding lessons to sit still. At least I have a lot to sit still. But if you sit still on a horse that is moving, then you're definitely going to block it somewhere. So if you want to be still relative to the horse and the horse's movement, then you also need to be moving. And especially at the walk and at the canter, the horse has a really big head bump. So if you have a contact on the rein and you want that contact to be steady all the time, you need to be moving your hands with the head rubbing of the horse. And what we saw was happening a lot with Jeanette was when she was cantering and she was going to the jump and the horse was getting really strong, she was doing like this, which is a natural reaction when you're on a horse and it runs all that it can before you jump. But the second that she does this, she's blocking his neck movement in the canter. So that's not so much a learning thing, but that's a physical thing that she needs to learn to keep moving her hands in the rhythm of the canter while she's making the horse slow down, because otherwise she's going to block it, and she's going to block its top line, and that makes it difficult for the hind leg to come under. And the task of slowing down or lifting, which she's asking the horse to do, becomes impossible. So for the horse to be able to physically do what she's asking, she needs to technically change the way that she's riding. And I used to normally say, learning is really easy. Pressure relief, positive rewards, just teaching. The horses are so smart. Just teaching them a task is really, really easy. The difficult part comes when we want to be on the horse and ride the horse and do all sorts of things with the horse in motion. That we're taking it out of its balance, we're changing its natural way of moving and turning, and we want to alter all these things in their body. And that's when it becomes a challenge, but definitely possible. It just needs like really thorough work in how to teach them and how they learn, and then always asking if you want to teach a horse a certain response, then you need to ask for that response in a context where it's most likely that your horse can give you the response. What we see happening very often with jumpers is that they come to the jump, they refuse the jump, and the rider kicks with the legs. So then the horse has no chance of giving the right response. So it's always important to not ask the question unless you have quite a good sense that the horse is going to be able to give you the correct response. So you have to set it up so that the horse will have a success, and then you can reward the correct response. Okay. So I'm just going to have a look at Sarah and Sarah down here. And I'm going to ask if anybody is ready to do a little bit of trot. Are you getting ready to have a little bit of a trot? Yeah? And what I know that Sarah has been working on is she's been working on the pressure relief of the reins. And with negative reinforcement, the relief is what trains the response. And what happens to most of the riders, if they're on a horse that runs, is that they slow the horse down, and they feel if they let go of the reins again, then the horse is going to run faster again. But if they don't release the reins, there was no reinforcement, there was no reward, as Nita said earlier, there was no yes, thank you. So they need to let go of the reins. The second they feel the horse is slowing down a little bit, and then when they let go of the reins, and the horse starts to go faster, then they just need to slow the horse down again. So they need to continuously repeat it until the horse finds its own balance and can be in the same pace and in the same direction for a little bit longer. thing is, look at Sarah down here at the end. Sarah's problem that she described to us was that her horse was running. Now, the instructor Sarah has been working with the rider on breathing better, on getting the horse to stop better. She's made the reins a little longer so that the horse can use the pony can use the neck as a balancing pole. And now Sarah had a problem getting the horse to trot. Now she had a problem getting the horse to go forward, which is very common because normally when she rides the pony, she speeds up by letting go of the brakes. But now the pony is not speeding up all the time, and then she has a problem making it go from the leg the first 3 or 4 times that she tried to make the horse come into a trot. So it usually goes both ways. If you see horses that run terribly to the jump, but then still refuse at the jump, looks a little scary, then most often those horses have been speeding up by letting go of the brakes. So when you have something in front of the horse that motivates the horse to slow down, then you haven't trained the horse to go forward. You have no cue, you have no aid, you have no signal to make the horse go forward. So that is a very, very common problem, that once you have that one side become better, then you actually have the opposite problem. And it looks like Stina and Sina are getting a really good job done. Now I haven't noticed if the horse is speaking at all from Liverpool, but we still see Stina rewarding him every time he crosses it. Also, what Stina is doing is slowing him down quite quickly after he crosses the Liverpool, to not make him associate the Liverpool with the fight response. And if any of you up there right now are taking a little nap, now is the time to wake up, because I want to say something really important about show jumping. I have never in my entire career met a show jumper who was running towards the jumps at the beginning of its jumping career. That is always man-made. All the young horses that I've met or inexperienced jumpers, they all hesitate or work the jumps, but none of them run. They all hesitate to begin with. Like the young horses starting to free jump. Oh, what is this? What is this? And when we chase them over the jumps, because we think it's more important to get them to the other side than training the whole deal, that's when we're creating the horses that are later on running too fast, needing shallow bits, needing martingales. It's the same with martingales with the nose stamp. It's just to treat the symptom, because the horse only blows its head in the air if it thinks that you're pulling too hard on the rein. So if you teach the horse to slow down from a lighter aid, it doesn't need to pull the head up in the air, and then you don't need the martingale. So all of that is created by the common show jumping mistake, that you want to make the horse go and that you chase the horse in the zone, like the approach zone, right in front of the jump. There is no more important zone for a show jumper than this, in order to where you need a confident, relaxed horse that knows its job. Like, I don't approve of punishment in any kind of the positive punishment with horses. But if there's one place to never, ever, ever inflict discomfort with your horse, is in the zone right in front of the jump. Because it's going to create a negative CER, and it's going to make the horse have a negative association to the jump and wanting to run away from it.